Hi guys! Well, today I'm gonna build this headboard for a queen-size bed. It's actually for this bed frame which I built a little while ago. Now, this headboard has a tufted insert, a mahogany surround, and a little shelf on top. Yeah, start with. So, making a headboard. I wanted something comfortable and nice looking to match this bed frame, and there's a video of the build if you missed it. In terms of the bed, I wanted it to be modular, so it's made up of several boxes which can be transported individually in a car and then screwed together on location. I used mahogany plywood as well as a lot of regular plywood, which I hid with mahogany edge banding. I also made drawers with drawer slides and beautiful hardware. And to go with all this, I wanted a headboard. So I was going for a tufted insert, a slight angled frame for more comfort, and a mahogany surround with a small shelf on top. I decided to make it in two parts, so it would be easier to transport in a car. This is the bottom part I'm working on, and it's basically a platform, which I'm going to place the main headboard on top of. This is the same height as the boxes for the bed. So I used scrap pieces of plywood here that I cut to the same height and then glued and brad nailed in from both sides. And I also reinforced that with some screws. Now to create those angled sides, I'm cutting up some plywood on the table saw using this taper jig. And I cut a bunch of these. So now you can see the idea. First, I have the plywood for the whole headboard. Then I have several of these smaller to tapered cuts, and I'm going to attach this kind of like a frame on the backside all around and in the middle. To connect these pieces to the plywood, I'm using pocket screws again, and this jig has really come in handy for this project. Then it was just a matter of connecting all the pieces together. Okay, and here's the whole piece, ready to be upholstered and covered with wood. And here it is on top of the platform. Now before doing the upholstery, I picked up a button kit, and with this you can basically cover buttons with the fabric you're going to use, so it matches seamlessly. You just kind of cover one part and then push in the back piece. The next step was figuring out where the buttons should go. First, I basically placed them wherever I think it kind of looked good, but then I marked out how high the mattress is going to go, where the wood surround will be, and then I did some proper measurements and got some precise locations. And then drilling all the holes. Next up, foam. I picked up some 2-inch thick foam from my local fabric store. So I measured the foam where the wood surround was going to go and cut it with an electric knife. And I found that this is a really great way to cut foam, but you could also use a razor blade. To secure it to the board, I use some spray adhesive. And this is just to secure it temporarily while I do the tufting. Okay, the fabric. I'm using a pretty heavyweight natural linen, but the great thing about doing this yourself is that you can of course use any fabric you'd like and really personalize it. Now this next part, it really helps if you have a second person to help out. So one person can stick a long needle through the holes in the back, and then the other can mark where the holes are with a marker. Then I used an X-Acto knife to carve out some of the foam in the circles, and this is to get a deeper hole for the button to go into, and it creates a bit more depth in the look. Then I covered the board with fabric and inserted the needle, started in the middle with a big button on the other side. Then pulled it through the fabric covered button and carefully pushed the needle back again into the hole. And sometimes it can be a little tricky to find the same point, so don't drill too small a hole, but obviously not too big either. Then secure tightly on the back side with a larger button. And I'm using heavy wax thread that's meant for leather work here because you definitely want something a little stronger and thicker than regular sewing thread. And the thing here that I have found is that in order to get a really clean look where the fabric is taut, is that it's important to really stretch the fabric as much as you can. So it's helpful again to be two people, where one pushes the needle through and the other stretches the fabric and secures the button. And here's the front and the back with all the buttons secured. Lastly, I secured the fabric with a brad nailer to the plywood, again stretching the fabric to remove as many wrinkles as possible. Next, the wood surround. I'm using some beautiful mahogany wood, and because the boards measure 4 feet and the headboard measures 5 feet in length across, I'm cutting some box joints to connect 2 pieces together. And I have a video showing how to build this jig if you're interested. So this joint is going to be in the center of the main frame, because I figured if I need 2 pieces of wood, I might as well make it a nice looking connection, since you're going to see it. And this wood is really beautiful. Then I soften the edges of the board with a block plane, and also mark the center of the boards. And that's because the center is where I want to place all the screws on the boards, so I secure the wood all around. And by placing the wood right next to the fabric here, it also really helps to make a smoother transition and remove any wrinkles. Then I cut up some thin pieces of mahogany, and this is just for trim. This is to hide that line of screws on all the boards. I cut it to length and then just used a pin nailer to secure it in place. And I think this added a pretty nice detail while also covering up the screws, so that worked out well. Now on the edges I'm also adding trim, and this is the top piece, which is extruding a little bit to give a shadow line and also a small shelf. Lastly, I finished the wood, first with some shellac and then with some tongue oil wax polish to really smoothen it up. Okay, then to install this bed, I began with putting down the headboard platform and then screwing the headboard to it all around. Then I put in a few screws to the wall to secure it in place, and then built the bed from there. And here we are. Okay, so the headboard is done here now, and I really wanted to make a very comfortable headboard, and I've been wanting to make a tufted one for quite some time now. But at the same time, I really wanted to incorporate some wood as well, because I wanted it to match the bed frame. So that's when I thought using mahogany would be kind of cool. And I also thought it'd be really nice to have like a really kind of narrow little shelf on top there. And that's where you could put like an alarm clock or like some art print, you know, just something kind of practical but not like too big. Don't forget to check out the video where I built the bed frame for this headboard. This whole build here, I mean, it was really pretty straightforward. And I know upholstery can seem a bit intimidating to some people, but there's not really that much to it, and as long as you're kind of careful and stretch the fabric really well, you can get a really nice result. And by putting the wood on, it really helped make it more even, and sometimes the edges when you do upholstery can be kind of finicky, and that way you kind of eliminate that step altogether by using a wood frame around. So that worked out. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about this project in the comments below, and thank you guys so much for watching. See you soon. Bye!